look so good. You all right?
The floor. It keeps moving. How can you stand it? How can you even stand?
I'm not the best person to ask about discomfort. I can't feel pain, remember?
I still can't believe what happened in Niez. Even now. As a lord, my expectations for Almeidrea were already pretty low. But the way she treated human lives like they're mere playthings.
Yeah. And it wasn't as if the situation in Niez was improving much to begin with.
You mean Deadheim?
The whole reason I started fighting back was because of my anger at the atrocities of Renan rule. Back then, all I had to worry about was fighting the Renans for the sake of the Dahnans. But then I met Shion and the people of Menancia, and things became a lot more complicated. It's even messier now that we have to worry about Dahnans like Deadheim.
It used to be that the Dahnans were the ones in the right, and the Renans were the ones in the wrong. Though, maybe that was just a biased perspective from being on the side of the oppressed.
Exactly. I'll never tolerate the Renans ruling over us. But nothing ever ends up being as black and white as you'd expect it to be either. That's clear to me now.
That said, even putting aside bad apples like Deadheim for a moment, you may be able to free the Dahnan people, but that won't undo 300 years of oppression. It'll be hard for them to not give in to their resentment. I think maybe that's why I clung to our dream so hard back in Menancia.
Even if his motivations weren't pure, Dohalim has a good heart. He didn't sink to the depths Almeidrea did.
You don't understand. I'm saying that it goes deeper than that. This hierarchy we live in, it's not solely something the Renans invented. I remember a story Rinwell once told me. She said before the Renans invaded, we Dahnans had our own class system. We are the ones who divided ourselves. I saw it in Deadheim's eyes. He wanted to rule over others.
To hear Bayfon tell it, Deadheim wasn't always that way.
But as time went on, and he and the Darkwings fought the Renans, he eventually changed. I guess what I'm getting at is, if we defeat the Renans but just go back to the way things were before, was there even any point in fighting?
But that world isn't the one you want to create, right?
Maybe not. But to tell you the truth, these days I'm not so sure that dream is even possible.
You have your promise to Megal, though. Your home and the people of Menancia are depending on you.
I know. My brother. He truly believed in his dream of coexistence. And I suppose, even now, many people still do. And then, there's you.
Who, me?
You and Shion.
I'm not sure I follow.
Okay, then let me spell it out for you. How many other Renans and Dahnans do you know that get on as spectacularly as the two of you?
I don't know that I'd say spectacularly.
Well, I suppose it's really all a matter of how you look at it, isn't it?
I really don't see what you're getting.
I think I'm getting seasick again. Sorry. Can you just give me a wide berth for a few minutes?
Do you think Law is okay?
If you're worried, why don't you ask him yourself?
Yeah. I think maybe I should apologize to him too. I should apologize to all of you, really.
Us too?
Well, I was kinda lying to you all this whole time. I was blind to everything except my own revenge. I never even considered the struggles all of you might be facing.
We all have things we'd prefer to keep to ourselves, Rinwell. So what if you had something to hide? It doesn't undo the good that you've done, or the people that you've helped save along the way.
But that's not what I mean.
I know. You're talking about Almeidrea, right?
Yeah. I hate her, Alphen. I can't stop hating her. Even just thinking about her makes my head feel like it's going to explode. But it's not just her. I think about the way Law looked at me. I hated the Lord who killed my parents. And I hated the Renans I had to travel alongside. And yet, Cyslodia's Dahnans backstab each other like it's a normal way of life. And Mahag Saar has people like Deadime. But then there are people like Law and Xion. It's all just too much. I don't know what to think anymore.
Law never said that you had to forgive Almeidrea. It's only natural you would hate your family's murderer. But
what?
Law left home because of how much he hated his father. As a result of that, well, I think Law spent a lot of time thinking about how they never got to make things right. And if I had to guess, killing Ganabel didn't make any of those feelings go away. Law let revenge fuel him, and I think now he's afraid you'll do something you'll regret.
Afraid?
Whatever happens to Almeidrea when this is all over is up to you. I'll respect whatever choice you make. Just think it over carefully for me, okay? You still have time.
Okay. Thanks, Alphen. Say, back then, after the fight, I think I really made Xion mad. I don't know, though. Maybe it just looked that way. But I guess I just can't seem to understand how she feels. Do you know why she gets like that?
Xion's... She can be a tough nut to crack. She doesn't really talk a whole lot about herself.
It's just what she said about hate being a source of strength. Where did that come from? I wonder how it feels, not being able to hold another person's hand.
Lean much further, you'll go overboard. Keeping an eye out for Almeidrea's ship?
I'm looking at the ocean.
The ocean?
Yeah. The waves. They help me think. This world is filled with natural wonders. The icy air and white peaks of Cyslodia, the lush green glades of Menancia, the harsh wastes of Calaglia. But Menancia has its Lake of Death, and Nias its ruins. And they wouldn't be there if it weren't for that contest.
Say we actually manage to put a stop to the crown contest for good. What do you think will happen between the Dahnans and the Renans then?
You first.
Well, I want to believe that the coexistence we saw in Menancia can happen elsewhere, too. It's insane for all of us to keep fighting. If Menancia can do it, so can everyone else.
Yeah, I think that would be good too. A world where everyone can get along. At least, that's what I've come to believe.
You sure have changed.
I can't lie to you. Since I was young, I've looked down on the Dahnans too. But I've seen a lot. And I see things differently now. I've seen so many ugly and terrible things in this world. And yet, they didn't come from just the Dahnans. And the good things too. They didn't come from just the Renans. Kindness and cruelty exist on both sides. A person's race doesn't factor into it. So, I guess you're right after all, Alphen. I have changed. You know, I've never actually touched another person like this.
Shionne.
Ever since I was on Lenegis, I've always been alone. Even after I came to Dahna. Always.
And now?
Do you still not remember your past?
No. Sometimes it feels like I can almost remember. But then this mask stops me.
The mask keeps you from remembering why you have the mask in the first place. It's a little ironic, isn't it?
A little. Well, it won't be long now before you're rid of those thorns, you know? Only 2 lords remain. And once you have their master course, you'll be able to create the Renis Alma, right? Then you can... Shionne?
Sorry, it's nothing. Promise. You're right, though. It'll all be over soon. I never could have made it this far on my own. I have everyone to thank for that. Including... especially you, Alphen.
Don't worry about it. We're friends, after all.
Yeah, we are.